Yep.
I'll call the Open Space Committee meeting into order, and we're being videoed, and it is 1:05 on June 27th, 2022. Okay, everybody has the minutes from the last meeting. Has everyone looked at them over?
Yes, I'll recuse myself because I was not in attendance. But I just want to point out under new business, when I read this, it was a bit confusing because I think it's COUNSEL, not for council. It's SEL, which is an attorney for the town council. This is a separate attorney for the town. It's not a council like as a meeting board.
Okay, I just heard the term council.
Yeah.
What's this land council about?
No, I know, you can't, but you can't tell when you talk of it. But it's SEL, it's an attorney. He's an attorney for the town, as it is explained to me.
Okay.
So we have a town council for general bylaws and everything, right? And then we have a specific property, like zoning, ZBA issues, but it's SEL. I was like,
Council gives council.
Yeah. There you go.
All the difference in the world. Okay.
so,
That's why no one knows.
Yeah. Well, Lisa wasn't here, and that's why.
yeah, but I was like, what is that, huh? Somebody explained it, so.
All right. Okay, no corrections then, other than that,
I
which
will
doesn't
make
need to
the
be.
correction on the
Yep.
spelling council is to
Okay.
council as council.
And then send it to me and I'll send it in? Okay. All right. I entertain a motion to accept
I will second
as amended.
as amended.
Yep. So moved. Second? Okay, seconded and vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, minutes are good. All right, next is the open space and recreation plan.
Before I get into these items, just a quick update on the OneDrive. So all of the maps are up there now, so if you feel like, if you want to look online so you can zoom in more, look at stuff, you should be able to do that. They are all the ones that you have in your hands now and that we looked at last time, so they haven't been updated since we last looked at them. But any edits you send me, between now and then, I'll try to get them to match. Hopefully we can get some updated maps for our next meeting, if not the one following that. Also on there are the scenic features. The updated copy that you had sent me, they're up on there as well. Those scenic, geologic, historic ones.
Yeah.
They're all on there. No rush to add more information to that, but it's up there if you want to take a look at it, add some more information or new features that might not be on there. So it was a pretty lengthy list already. And then as well, the low-income areas that you had identified, you'd sent me.
I thought of one more.
Okay.
If you want to know what it is now.
Sure. Let me.
Actually,
Where is that?
It's it's on West Street, and it's Rydell Apartments. Let's see, what is the?
Oh, it's Riddlebrook.
Yeah, Riddlebrook. Yeah, Riedell, Brook Apartments on West Street, and it's elderly.
Perfect. So I put on a document in that OneDrive folder that's listing those low-income areas. As we mentioned last time, our environmental justice population map is likely not as accurate as we would want it to be. It's based on census data, so it's only as accurate as, who fills it out, and not everybody fills that out. There's a list on there of potential other low-income areas or underserved populations. Feel free to add to that. It's a Word document, so you should be able to edit it, or you can email me and I'll put it on there. But we'll talk about that a little bit more later, too. So let's start with the survey results. You all have a packet. There's 2 slides to a packet. I tried to save some paper, but still make it large enough that you can see. And I will put the presentation on the OneDrive as well. So that, again, if you want to look at it in a bigger copy, zoom into some stuff, it'll be on there. So we'll start on that second page, the survey overview. So just sort of recaps. We planned or developed our survey in March and April, officially launched it mid-April, and it closed mid-June, just a week or so ago. In total, we got 316 responses. Not everybody answered all the questions that we got, but we got at least, 316 people responded to the survey, which is really great. I think the last time we met, we were in the 200s.
287.
Yep, so definitely a good jump between then and now, or then and when we closed the survey. There's a 56% completion rate, so that means people who opened it, 56% of them actually submitted the survey. So it's about what we see in other towns, just over half. And I think we kind of expected that with the long survey that we had. And the typical time spent answering the survey was 13 minutes, almost 14 minutes. So a lot of our residents put in some good thought into answering the survey. Next page, first question we had on our survey, how often do you go to a park or other open spaces in Douglas to do the following? We're not going to go through all of these, but our top 3 activities that folks were visiting our parks or open space areas for were walking or jogging on sidewalks or public way, visiting a park or other open space, and utilizing hiking, biking, horseback riding, or cross-country ski trails. So those are the 3 that folks did either daily or weekly. Next page, or next slide rather, how important is it to be able to travel to open space and recreational destinations in Douglas by the following? So we had walking, biking, automobiles, and public transportation. So by far, walking and automobiles were most important to the residents or to the folks who answered the survey. Biking came in 3rd there as extremely important. And then public transportation, not as important, though there were some folks who answered the survey who would like to see that as an option. Next question was, do you have difficulty with the following? So that was communicating, remembering or concentrating, walking or climbing stairs, hearing even if using hearing aids, and seeing even if wearing glasses. So most of the folks who answered the survey didn't have difficulties with these areas. Again, I think that was kind of expected. But remembering or concentrating did have some, as well as, they all kind of had some, but remembering or concentrating and seeing even if wearing glasses, those were our biggest difficulties to be aware of. Next question, so how satisfied are you with the variety or amount of, and then we listed a whole host of options for different recreational and open space features in the town. Again, I'm not going to go through all of these just because there's a lot of them there. But our top 3 that we're not satisfied with were bike lanes within the roadways, sidewalks, and indoor recreational facilities. And that's sort of a theme throughout, because there's a few other spots where we ask for some recommendations on potential facilities or opportunities to start developing or planning for in the future. And so again, our respondents were most dissatisfied or unsatisfied with bike lanes, sidewalks, and then indoor recreational facilities. How satisfied are you with the condition or quality of the following? It's the same exact top 3 that the respondents were dissatisfied with, which makes sense. So bike lanes within the roadways, sidewalks, and then again, indoor recreational facilities. So again, it kind of makes sense. We weren't satisfied with either the condition of them or the amount of them. So that's just another thing to keep in mind for potential action items, where they make sense. The next question we asked residents or folks who are answering the survey, do you regularly travel to any nearby communities for open space and/or recreational opportunities? Please list the community and the activity for which you travel there for. So there's a lot of great answers in here. I tried to throw them into a word cloud just to make more sense out of it, but I will send the raw data from the survey as well so we can see what everybody typed out. But a lot of folks are traveling to Uxbridge, Sutton, Rhode Island, Northbridge, Upton, Mendon, Millbury, Webster, and Oxford, just to name a few. And some of the activities that they're traveling there for are biking opportunities. Again, bike paths, that comes up again a lot. Soccer opportunities, boating and fishing, a lot of trails and hiking. Horseback riding was mentioned a bunch of times. Dog parks and just dog walking areas. And then some mountain biking and walking and running as well. So again, just some things to keep in mind to see where folks are traveling outside of town and what are they traveling for. Next question we had was, how strongly do you support Douglas protecting, acquiring, and/or improving town-owned land for the following reasons? Again, not going to go through all of them, just there's a lot of options there. But our top three that respondents were extremely supportive are number one, to protect habitat for Douglas's wide diversity of flora and fauna. Number two, to preserve the water resources in town. And number three, to provide areas for passive recreation.
That's positive.
Yes. Next question, how strongly do you support Douglas protecting, acquiring, and/or improving town-owned water resources for the following reasons? Number one is to protect the habitat for Douglas's wide diversity of flora and fauna, so similar to that last question. Number two, to remove invasive species to improve water quality and habitat. And number three, to provide areas for non-motorized boating, including kayaking and canoeing. The next question is, what should Douglas's priorities be for open space and recreation expenditures? And then we have them rank them. Our top three priorities that respondents felt were most important. Number one, improving passive recreation opportunities on existing conservation land, so more trails, more wildlife viewing, stuff like that. Number two, acquiring conservation lands for new passive recreation use. Number three, improving or expanding wildlife habitat and corridors. All pretty similar. Expanding wildlife habitat, wildlife viewing, as well as some passive recreation opportunities. Next question, what do you consider to be the biggest unmet open space needs in Douglas? Number one, additional protected woodlands, meadows, or stream corridors to protect the diversity of flora and fauna. Number two, conservation areas that serve as educational and research areas. And number three, protection of agricultural land. The next question, are there any other unmet open space needs in Douglas that were not mentioned? Again, there was a lot of stuff that was mentioned here, so I just tried to get some of the highlights that respondents talked about. We have indoor recreation or sports center, right to making Douglas a right to farm community if it isn't already. Splash pad, more tennis courts, better soccer fields, more Little League baseball fields, a better skate park, a football field, improved basketball court, more parking in the central part of town and just parking in general at some of our facilities and features in town, installing a bike path, horseback riding trails, as well as areas at those trails for trailer parking, more camping or shelters along the trails, restrooms at our open space locations in different destinations in town, pickleball courts, sort of a mixed bag on whether folks liked ATV trails or whether they didn't want them at all. But sort of a suggestion was having an area in the town or trails dedicated to ATV or snowmobile or dirt bike use. An outdoor physical fitness circuit, more sidewalks, and typo there, but better softball fields.
So just, what is a splash pad? So-
Yeah, kids play in it, yeah.
It's like,
Sprinklers.
there's like
Spraying water for
sprinklers
kids.
that come out. It's usually for little kids.
Oh, for little kids, all right.
Instead of like, I think they used to have wading pools.
Like a cooling station or something, all right.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, I think they've upgraded from wading pools into splash pads now, maybe a little bit more sanitary.
Yeah.
Don't go there.
Next question, what do you consider to be the biggest unmet recreation needs in Douglas? And again, we had to rank them based on most unmet or most wanted. Number 1, multi-use recreational trails. Number 2, hiking and cross-country skiing trails. And number 3, bike lanes within the roadways. And then, similar to the previous question we had, are there any other unmet recreation needs in Douglas that weren't mentioned? Again, a lot of options here, some that overlapped with our unmet open space needs, but I wrote them down anyways. Indoor recreational or sports center, better maintenance of playgrounds, more sidewalks, a swimming area, so either a town pool or a splash pad, volleyball courts, turf fields, more fishing and boating areas, a bike path, disc golf opportunities, ATV, dirt bike, or snowmobile trails, rock climbing areas, an improved skate park, and again, just more parking at these different locations. Next question, what are your favorite open space or recreational facilities in Douglas? Again, lots of responses here. Just tried to get the highlights for some of these.
Gregory's.
Yeah,
It's a sandwich shop.
But
Pizza place.
it was listed a couple of times, so I was like, I don't know, I'll write it down.
Turn
Morris
it into a coffee
Pond,
house.
or sorry, Morse Pond, Wallace Street, Depot Street, the SNET, Wallem Lake, the school playgrounds, Soldiers Fields, Douglas State Forest, the Common, basketball courts, Municipal Center, softball fields, soccer fields, Gregory's Pizza, which again, I don't know, but it was mentioned a couple times, so I don't know if some of the students were playing
Yeah.
pranks on me. And then conservation land on Mumford Road.
It's, the playground isn't mentioned, which is interesting.
The next question we had, would you be supportive of enacting the Community Preservation Act? That's just the description on what the CPA is. This seems pretty positive. 37.57% who responded to the survey said yes, and 39.31% said they would need more information. So it's not an immediate no, just, so I would pencil this down as a potential action idea to do it, another education campaign or get some more folks, more information about the CPA and, how much is it going to take out of their taxes and what can that be used for. But that seems pretty positive, even though there's 23% who said no. I think if there was a good educational push, you might get some of those folks on board as well. Next question, in order to preserve open spaces in Douglas, would you be willing to do the following? Consider allowing an easement, supporting a requirement for all new residential developments to include conservation or open space areas, and/or vote to allocate town funds to acquire or otherwise conserve open space. So overall, pretty positive for these different options. Voting to allocate funds topped off as the top thing that folks would be willing to do. And then supporting a requirement for all new residential developments to include some sort of conservation area or open space area was supported by 60% of respondents as well. Next question, do you have any interest in volunteering to participate on a town board or assist a town project that promotes the preservation of open space and/or recreation? A lot of folks did not want to volunteer to be on a board or to assist with a town project. 22% or about 23% said yes, and we do have the email addresses for those folks who want to volunteer. And we asked the question at the beginning, which I didn't include here, just if folks want to be put on an open space listserv. So we have, I think there was like 197 people who left emails, so we have that as well, which will be good for the public forum when we get to that. Next question, how would you prefer to get information about open spaces and/or recreational opportunities and events in Douglas? So our top 3 information areas that folks like the most include email as number 1, town website as number 2, and Facebook as number 3. So a lot of social media or electronic communication seems to be what folks like, though there are some options for in-person and sort of paper notification as well.
Yeah, the newspaper was the 4th.
Yes. And then the flyers as well that connected. Next question, so just getting into the demographics of who responded to the survey. So what's your age? We have a whole bunch of different age brackets, so I think that was a really great push by you all. Our top respondents were under 18 at 34.6.
I wrote him an email thanking him how much it made a difference. Superintendent, yeah.
So yeah, I think that's.
They had nothing,
probably
maybe
the-
they made him sit down and do it, it was like homework or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So definitely great outreach there. I think that might be the largest input we've gotten from the under 18 crowd in at least the open space plans that I've worked on. And I think there's a good distribution as well for our other age brackets. So really, really good job there. Do you have any children under the age of 18 living with you? So our majority said no at 62.09%. This could potentially be skewed because we had a lot of students who answered the survey. So they might not know how to answer that if they don't have children themselves. But
They don't, that's a good sign, yeah, they don't.
Right. So this one might be a little bit skewed, but we did get a lot of youth input sort of regardless of that, so I think that sort of evens out. Next question, what is your household size? And so we had options of 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5 or more. Our top was residents of 2, so most likely couples who live in the town, and then followed by 4 or 5 or more, which probably is likely to be families in the town. Do you currently reside in Douglas? 84.07% of the folks who answered the survey do reside in Douglas, and 15.93% do not. I believe some of the responses were they lived in Webster or Uxbridge. I think some lived far away but are building a house in Douglas, so they answered the survey. So mostly it was surrounding communities or people who commute in for work. And then last question, if you currently live in Douglas, how long have you lived here? And so we had less than a year, 1 to 3 years, 4 to 6 years, 7 to 9 years, 10 to 20, more than 20, and then either I don't live in Douglas and I've never lived there, or I used to live there, but I no longer do. So our largest respondents have lived in the town for 10 to 20 years, followed by more than 20 years. So a lot of folks who maybe grew up here, or at least have been here for a long time, know a lot about the town. They answered our survey, but we also got some input from folks who might be newer to the town, or maybe commute into town, like I said, for work or other activities. Any initial reactions to the survey? Anything that surprised you, other than the Gregory's Pizza?
I thought it was positive, yeah, especially what they wanted to acquire more of, rather than just, more recreation facilities or whatever. Besides the indoor ones in the pool.
Yeah. And I think it falls in line with a lot of the goals and objectives that we've come up with. So I think there's some responses on potential action items or just things that folks would like to see in the town. And I think we'll be able to put those into our action plan fairly easily. Any other reactions to the survey?
It sounds like we're on the right track with
Yeah.
what we're going
Right.
after, so, and that's what people want to see, so.
The ones
that was
that are
really
interested responded.
good. Yeah.
Some of this is doable in short term,
Yeah.
the midterm and long-term plans.
Mhm.
Outdoor physical fitness circuit, that actually sounds pretty cool, which actually could be tied in with the Sinet, stuff around there too, so, yeah, there's a lot of good options here.
Yeah.
Good ideas.
Any other comments?
It's great.
Other boards' input. Have you anybody received anything? It's okay if not.
Zero.
Just,
But I also offered to send the letter to him by email, and I forgot, so I'll
Okay.
do that when I go home. Sorry, Sue.
no rush.
Too many goals. I'll take them for a week.
You can have the steer. Oh, he's on my shit list.
Okay. And if you end up getting any responses, feel free to either upload it to the OneDrive or email it to me, and I can upload it there so everyone can see it. Maps, so we have 6 more maps today. We'll just run through each of them. I think most of them are fairly straightforward, but we'll run through them quickly, and then if you guys want to take a look at them and send me any edits, corrections, either if features are wrong or even if it's just spelling errors on the maps, any edits at all are welcome. So first map that you should have, unless I messed up the order of them, is the regional context map. So it just shows where Douglas is within the region as well as within the state in that smaller map up in the right-hand corner. Sort of shows where your major transportation access points are. So again, pretty straightforward for that one. Next map we have is the scenic resources and unique environments. So unfortunately, I didn't get the resource list that we came up with to Matt in time to get those onto this map, but I still just wanted to show you the general layout of this map. So there's some stuff already identified on here as either inventoried property or National Register of Historic Places, and then some priority areas of preservation as well. And some other features, the schools, the library, the police departments, stuff like that. So on this map, that list that we came up with, those different features, they're going to be numbered on here, and then we'll have a key that will accompany this map to show what those features are. So again, this one isn't fully done yet. It doesn't have those additional features, but this is the general layout that we'll go with.
So can you just explain, the blue is inventoried,
Those are the little points of interest things.
Yep. So
those are
there's,
all the ones that you, okay,
So
sorry.
the little blue dots are inventory properties, most likely from MAPRIS, which I don't remember off the top of my head what that acronym stands for, but it's basically historical areas. So
Okay.
Could be historical buildings or burial grounds or other historical structures. The blue area just says inventoried. I would guess maybe historical districts. potentially, or it could be an error. And so maybe that's something we'll want to take off of the map. Okay. Moving on to the next map, so we have 2 different water resource maps. The state requires one, but because of all the information that is put on them, we separate them off into 2 just so it's a little bit clearer to understand. The first one, Water Resource Map 1, that shows your different watersheds that the town falls into, both our major watersheds, so like the Blackstone River watershed, as well as our smaller sub-watersheds. It also includes some wetland areas and some aquifers in the town as well. The next map, Water Resource Map 2, I consider this more of the water infrastructure that's in the town. So it shows your groundwater wells, your DEP approved zones, other protection, wellhead protection areas, some flood zones, and public water supply, again, infrastructure. So first one is more of that watershed sort of zoomed out lens, and then the second one is that infrastructure of water in the town.
So Danny, go ahead.
What's
Yeah.
non-transient, non-community public water supplies?
I
Let's try it.
am not sure, I will double check that.
So like at Wallem Lake, it might be people that are visiting there, one's right at the beach. One's at the headquarters. One's at your house, Lisa, no.
Yeah.
Water slide,
Yeah, I'm not sure what that is.
campgrounds.
Wells?
There's one more off of Wallen Lake Road where the trail goes down.
The
Yeah,
office.
I don't know, that doesn't,
That doesn't, there's not even water there.
yeah, that'd be good to know.
Yeah, really good to know.
Okay, let's see.
I would say
Transient-
people that visited,
Non-
you know, it's people that don't live there, but they come occasionally, like to Wallem Lake.
But this is water resources.
And they
Okay.
use the water there, you know, there's bathrooms and,
So this one said, or the EPA says that transient non-community water systems are public water systems that provide water in a place such as a gas station or a campground where people do not remain for long periods of time.
Okay, so that makes sense with the campgrounds.
Okay.
yeah, or Wallem Lake. Or they
With the water slide.
look like the two, one of the trailer parks.
Okay.
There used to be 2 across the street from me. I don't think one of them is still there.
All right, moving on to the next map. So this is your open space inventory map. So this shows, hopefully it shows, all of the lands in town that are either deeded for open space and recreation activities or are used that way, though they might not be protected in the deed. And there's a bunch of different colors and shapes and cross hatchings to show the different types of open space and recreation land that you have in the town. A couple different colors that show federal, state, municipal, private, and nonprofit lands. Different kind of cross hatching for conservation restriction lands and agricultural preservation restriction lands. Then we have different colored triangle-like shapes for the different Chapter 61 lands. And then different dots or cross hatchings again for different levels of protection in the town. And then we, in addition to that, we also have a dark purple that shows town-owned lands, you know, sort of as of fiscal year 2021, and undeveloped lands in a lighter purple color, again, as of fiscal year 2021. So some of this may have changed. So if you feel like anything, you know, again, with all the maps, if anything seems like it's incorrect or we've forgotten on the map, feel free to let me know.
You can see the state land is much more developed on this.
We've got everything for this, You don't have Southern Illinois Trunk Line Trail highlighted in, that should be in green. State.
Yeah.
You've got the part within the state forest, but you don't have from the
SNCC.
state forest all the way to the town line.
Okay.
But it's not on any of these maps.
I mean, I
Mine's
guess
like streeter trail.
I can color it in with little things here.
Right.
And I know there's like little pieces of state property that go up off by Morse Pond and below Morse Pond, by Old Farm Road, and yeah, that needs to all be.
Okay.
And what do you do with easements? Because we've got pipeline easements that cut through.
Yeah.
And they're not delineated in any way.
Are the pipeline easements used for recreation
They're
activity?
quasi, they can be.
So this map, we can definitely add those if we get that information. Maybe the assessors have it. But this map is not to show everything in town per se. It should be focused more on open space and recreation opportunities. So as long as that falls into that category, I think we should add that.
Well, what do you all think? Are you familiar with any of the pipeline easements? Like there's Mobile, or formerly Mobile, that goes across Route 16. And then there's one up by the transfer station, just beyond. So those are, I don't know, I guess we'd have to research it more. Those are potentially passive trails, although
Okay.
some of them go through people's property, but. And the SNAT, I mean, that's just such a huge Commonwealth property.
Yeah, it's not.
And then there's
For some reason, they keep falling
the
off
other
maps.
one, the other train line that parallels the SNCC.
Oh, the Grand Trunk? That's in pieces, though.
Yeah.
So just visually, I want to throw, so chapter land is undeveloped, but visually, I'm just trying to think of a way so that people, like if you see the light purple and you say, oh, that's undeveloped, and you're not, they need to connect that with potential chapter land so that they can see that there are those connections there. And, I mean, I guess I'll look at that more when I look online, because
Okay.
to me, this map says, well, there's your undeveloped land and there's your chapter land, and they don't come together at all.
Okay,
I'm just trying to think of ways to.
I gotcha.
And last meeting, did you talk at all, because, like Ridge Trail on this map,
That's what I was just saying, yeah.
but,
And like,
Streeter
it's got streeter trail on here too.
and Streeter Trail, those,
They're not roads.
according to this, it's a local road. That's just a trail. It's a fire road at best. So I don't want to just,
Ridge Trail
Does have a little bit.
Just a spur, yeah,
It is a road till like
the forest.
by the end of where it says R for Ridge.
Until the,
right, but this line goes all the way through down to, back to Wallace Road, and that gives somebody the impression that you can just go drive it.
Yeah.
And there are gates at each end.
yeah.
And any of those trails within the forest aren't accessible. I mean, they look like roads on this map, but they're not accessible.
Yeah.
Yeah, those trails were made a different color, like red.
To signify that they're trails.
Trails,
Trails,
not
yeah.
roads, yeah.
I don't
'Cause
see,
it's so
I only
green.
see one conservation area over, nothing on Manchog Street, though. Town-owned land, maybe that's Maryland's, yeah.
Yeah,
It's town-owned, but it's not conservation, municipal. So town-owned land with one use is dark purple, and then municipal open space is dark green, but in some cases, they're town-owned and, they're municipal-owned, but they're conservation.
but they're still owned by the town if they're conservation.
Right, but, the one on Mumford is the same as the one on Manchog, but they're different colors.
That shouldn't, yeah,
Yeah.
that shouldn't be right.
Okay.
Danny's not welcome.
Yeah, if you feel free to.
Right, edit it.
Go through this more and send me the edits and locations and how they should be updated. Town-owned land, that's in purple, so that's not deeded as open space or conservation land. At least it shouldn't be. So if there's a specific area in town that's highlighted in that dark purple, but you think it should be in that dark green instead because it's deeded as open space and recreation areas, let me know and we'll change that. There could be some areas, typically the schools, they're not,
That town.
they're town-owned, but they're not deeded, they're not like owned by the Conservation Commission, so
Yep.
they wouldn't be in that green color. So, things like that, there might be some issues with, but we can change anything if you just let me know the location of it. And then I can have Matt, our GIS analyst, update this map. Okay, and then the last map that we have to look at is our habitat features map. So think our environmental resources in the town. We've got dark purple dots, which are certified vernal pools. The light yellow dots are potential vernal pools. We've got core habitat and critical natural landscape from Biomap 2 for the town. We've got priority habitats of rare and endangered species. Those are in an orange sort of cross hatching. And then we've got, again, some DEP wetlands as well. And again, for any of this as well, if you feel like we've missed anything and there's any errors, please let me know and we'll get those corrections made.
So it looks like the whole green on the left side is also priority habitats at the same time. They're both.
And then same with the maps that we looked at last time too. I know there was already one comment about the zoning on, or the zoning map. If there's any corrections that need to be made for those, whether it's corrections on the features that are highlighted, or again, just, simple spelling errors or anything like that. Or if you want to update any of the keys to make things pop out a little bit more, be more clear of what those features are, feel free to let me know, and I'll make sure that Matt gets those corrections.
If there's a way, this is very misleading because almost all of this west side is state forest.
Oh, which
I'm
map?
sorry, this is map zoning districts.
Okay.
So it's very confusing because it may be zoned industrial, but you can't do anything there.
Okay.
So maybe if it was green, all green, and then the industrial zoning was a crosshatch or something,
Okay.
but there's a tiny, see that tiny little, in the upper left-hand corner, that little triangle, that's Cliff Street. That's the only place that there's any industrial, warehouse, whatever. Everything else is either private
Protected, yeah.
or state forest.
Okay.
That's I gave her an updated map, because I had looked at that, and I said, that's not right, that green's gotta go all the way to the.
Right.
So I gave her.
Okay.
From Mass Mapper, which is funny, because on all these other maps.
Right, it's that way.
It shows it correctly.
You maybe got that from the town website because that's the way the map looks in Matt's office.
Yeah, that's
Wrong.
I'll have to get you verification, but like that red commercial, that's on the south side of Route 16 with the adult overlay on top of that. Because that's where the Billings Trail is.
Right,
correct.
yeah.
So there's no,
You can see it that way on this map.
and this is left over from our infamous landfill fight and everything, but yeah, I'll send you the.
Okay. Okay. Any other comments or questions about the maps?
Can we look at the scenic resources
Yes.
again?
What number is it, please?
5,
I'm
the
challenged.
new one and the new group.
Challenged. Okay.
So all those little blue dots are places that I told you about, or the,
No, those are not the places that you told me.
Okay.
So the little blue dots are inventory properties from Macris, which is, let's see, Massachusetts Historical Commission. That's not the full acronym.
preservation, oh, okay, inventory properties, so.
Okay, Massachusetts Cultural Resource Information System. So the Mass Historical Commission has this list for all the towns of these different historical properties. Again, usually burial grounds or houses, farms, or other structures or historical objects that are in the town. So these are not what we have come up with. I didn't get those to Matt in time, but I still wanted you to see what the
Yeah.
map was gonna look like. So the Macris list that the town has will be included in the appendix of the plan, but we want to highlight those unique features that you all came up with.
Could you add that to the OneDrive, that list?
Yep. The Macris one?
Yeah. Yeah. Just out of curiosity.
You see, the Mass Historic District is in Douglastown. It's been inventoried, and they've been working on this one for
Okay.
several years.
Yeah. Any other questions about the maps? No. Like I said, so there are definitely issues with the maps, things that we want to change. Those are all fine, so any edits, corrections, all of it, rip it to shreds, that's totally fine. I won't be offended, I didn't make the map. So. But we want to make sure that those are accurate for what this committee believes is in the town and what is actually in the town.
Sorry, Danny, on that map we just looked at,
The scenic resources?
yeah, what's with the east side boundary?
I don't know.
Hmm.
I don't know why that's off that way.
Talk to that.
I know there was a boundary with Uxbridge that was maybe recently changed a little or something, but it's just, I just noticed it on that. Huh.
So I'll have Matt fix it, because
No, the other side.
Yeah.
it's there, but
Yeah.
then it's like divots in.
Right. I don't know.
I don't know what the difference is.
Okay,
Just a mistake.
I'll keep looking.
Oh, they all kind of divot in.
Yeah.
So maybe, so the inventoried, that blue inventoried area, which we're not totally sure of what that is, has the town boundary as going straight down. So I think that's why it looks weird,
Yeah.
because it's,
Is it a straight boundary or not? I don't even-
No, I think there was something recently changed. Maybe that's,
okay.
I think it was straight before, and it looks like all of these divot in a little bit. But it depends on when he was pulling.
Yeah, so look at the older ones and see. Yeah, they're all, even the first one, map 2.
I don't know.
I'll ask Matt about it, but I think maybe the town boundary GIS is maybe more updated than that blue inventory areas database.
Yeah.
Okay, so if there are no more questions on the maps, then we'll get to some of these other agenda items. Location of points of interest, so we talked about this a little bit at the start. Again, going along with that environmental justice population map, it most likely doesn't depict all of our low income or minority areas, or even areas with higher senior populations. And all of these different groups likely are underserved by our open space and recreation resources. They might have limited access to them. You know, for minority or for folks who English is not the first language, they might not be able to interact with our programs as easily or understand where things are as easily. So those are just, you know, some different demographic groups that we want to keep in mind, especially as we're coming up with our action plan. But it's a great idea if we can map where some of these folks are, and, you know, not necessarily specific addresses of these folks, but just general areas where we might find more low income, more seniors, more minorities, anything like that. Again, that EJ population map is based on census data, which is only as accurate as how many folks actually submitted. So it's most likely not as accurate as we want it to be. So on the OneDrive, there is a Word document, and I will share that link with you to add some of these different areas so that I can have map, you know, approximate locations of where there might be some of these higher populations of these different demographic groups. Any off the top of your head? I think we briefly talked about it last time. And if not, you know, feel free to think on it more and then either email me or update that document.
Yeah, I only mentioned about 5 or 6 of them.
Yeah, let's see. So you mentioned Birch Hill Road, along Wallem Lake, old cottages that have been converted, the trailer park on South Street, another trailer park on South Street, north of Chestnut Street, Hayward Landing apartment complex, and then the Compass North development on North Street. They have some subsidized
And then
uses.
condos for $400,000.
Well, that's affordable housing. That doesn't, what's the definition here?
Right, so that's
So we
Census.
Hayward Landing and that, or,
we've sort of met our requirements for the EJ map because we're using that census data. What we're trying to do is sort of go above and beyond that and think of other folks who might be low income or, again, minority populations, folks with, you know, English as a second language or limited English proficiency, and then seniors, even youth, which probably harder to identify where they might be in town, but even like under 18, those folks might also have some limited access to some of our resources. So this is just a sort of an additional exercise that we're doing, though we've met the state's requirement for our EJ population map. And we can move on. But if you think of anything, feel free to email me or put it in that document on the OneDrive. Next one, comments on analysis of needs and resource questions. Were there any responses to that one?
nope,
No.
not for me. Yeah, I was thinking maybe, I mentioned maybe we could break it up
Break
into
it.
questions and rather
Okay.
than all of us looking at 11 of them.
Break up this list.
Oh, I just didn't have time to respond, but I'm working on it.
And there's no rush to this. This is just some questions that come up a lot when we do our first submittal. Typically, when we do the first submittal of the plan, the state's going to come back with a bunch of comments, sort of regardless of how finished we think our plan is. They'll come back with comments on that, and these are some of the questions that usually come up a lot. So if we can sort of tackle that the first round, that's great. If not, you know, not a problem. But I'll try to break this up a little bit more,
This list is on the drive?
hopefully.
Well, this is the one that you wanted us to just respond to you on, right?
Yes. If it's not on there, I will put that on there.
Yeah, because then I can just respond to each question, and it would be easier.
But that'll
Like
be responded to you.
Number 7, to me, question number 7 begs that we should have a trail map for the town.
Remind me what question 7 is?
What biking,
What biking, walking, and hiking opportunities exist in town where they're located?
Mhm.
So I think that would be better served as a trail map.
Oh, definitely. Yeah.
Well, so we've got the state's Douglas State Forest Trail map.
and we-
See, to make this map, I don't know if this map could, I'm just thinking out loud. I mean, you can take that, and then we have the map that we put together,
Which, yeah.
the open
Updated,
space,
yeah.
and the SNET and stuff like that, but, yeah, because how are we going to show connections and stuff that are needed if we don't have the visual to be able to?
And surprisingly, probably a lot of what these are already on. There's a couple of apps that a lot of people use. I don't know if you know about them, like Trailforks.
Trailforks.
All Trails.
Trailforks, I
So
use.
you can go on, open it up on and get the map of the town of Douglas to see what is being used for trails like right now.
And there's a million like little bike trails that people have made in
So
the forest.
I'll have to pull that up and look at it. And
But can we,
Can we print it?
how can we get it into this,
format.
or into a format so that we can include it in the report?
Send it to Matt.
So for trails, if there exists GIS data of the trails, we can put those, we can map those lines of the trails. If there isn't existing GIS data, we can map the trails and collect, we have a Trimble, so we can collect that data and then we can map it. We advise not to do that on like private land, just
That's why I would have to go look at the
Yeah.
ultimate of the trail forks to see which should be or should not be included. Because most of those are done with using a GPS on your phone or
Right.
something like that. But that would give you a better, clearer picture of what's out there.
Yeah.
Check that out.
But, if there's like nonprofit land, state land, we would include those trails. But if there's, a trail that runs through someone's backyard, you might not want to include on a map because then you're sort of advertising that it's open to the public when it might not be.
Right.
You should be able, you can download that data from the, as GPX or.
I believe so, yeah.
Gmail and stuff like that from that website.
So we can have more time to review these and maybe pick off a few
for
of them,
sure,
like
yeah.
who's the tree warden or things.
And again, there's no rush on
Answers
that,
like
so just, as you think of stuff, it's more so that we have less stuff to do on our second time around. Hopefully. So for the ADA site walk, I think if you remember last time, we had that weird wonky data. It had combined 2 towns.
Oh, yeah.
Sort of above my pay grade to about a GIS expert, so I was having trouble trying to figure out which ones were Douglas, where they were, what their names are. So Matt is working on that for me, but I don't have that data today. But I figured instead of talking about our site walk, what we could talk about is our public forum, which is our second sort of public engagement opportunity in addition to that survey. I think we briefly discussed it last time, and so there's a couple different ways we could do a public forum or public workshop. The sort of generic way is just a typical public forum. We'd invite, everybody in the town. Hopefully we'd get people to show up. I would give a presentation that sort of highlights what you have all been doing in these past meetings that we've had. We would give sort of a summary, a shorter summary of our survey results. Typically don't do all those survey results just because it would be a meeting in itself to talk about that. Would give some highlights on the plan, so some demographics of the town, different environmental resources, water resources in the town, things like that. And then we would discuss our draft goals and objectives with anybody who showed up. And then typically we'd break off into a couple different groups depending on how many people showed up. And it would just be more of an open discussion on, what folks like about the open space resources in the town, what they're concerned about, either with those resources or with environmental conditions, whether it be invasive species or climate change or, whatever might fall into that category. And then, we'd ask them for action ideas of what they'd like to see, new facilities built or upgrades or, different programs that the town could pursue. And basically, we take all that feedback and we plug it into our plan as well as our 7-year action plan. Again, in addition to the survey results that we just discussed today. So that's your standard, like a typical public forum. You might hold it in this room, we'd give a presentation, and we'd split off into a couple different rooms to do our smaller discussions. Second way that I've done it in towns is more of what I call the walk shop. So it's a workshop, but it would be outside or at one of your open space destinations in town. We'd print off big posters of all these different maps that we've been looking at, so folks can mark them up with their different, favorite resources or action ideas, things like that. And they'd walk through those different posters, interact with them, interact with you guys, talking about, either concerns in the town or potential action ideas. And people can sort of come and go sort of at their leisure instead of sitting down for an hour and a half, 2-hour public forum. It's been successful either way, so more of what you think folks would show up for or be more engaged with.
When we did the Heritage Landscape Inventory program, we did boil it down to maybe 20 interested people or whatever, but we did it in here and it worked out fine.
Okay.
I mean, the weather is something you have to consider.
Right.
Timing in the evening for people who don't like to come out with the bugs, maybe.
What time of day would you do an outdoor?
Well,
day.
I guess it would depend on lighting, but I'd say probably morning or during the day. And the towns that I've done that in, they chose a Saturday morning, a couple hours. You might be competing with some sports, though maybe not in the summer. I don't know, maybe like travel sports in the summer. But yeah, so for an outdoor, I'd probably say, especially if it's during the summer, probably in the morning before it gets too hot, or even in the afternoon, but before it gets dark out. And then for a public workshop, you could really do it at any time, but most of the time I've seen during the week on a weeknight. And you could do more than one. So if you want to do one that's a more formal public forum and one that's more informal and folks just walk through and interact with, that's an option as well.
Doesn't matter to me. Which have you found either one more successful than the other?
I would say more folks tend to show up to the what I'll call the walk shop, just because you have maybe a 2.5 hour window, so folks can show up, hang out, interact for 15 or so minutes, and not have to commit a full hour and a half to sitting through the presentation and then sitting through the discussion.
If that didn't turn up anybody, then we could do the indoor one.
Or, and like I said, you could do both. You could do a modified, so if you want to do like a presentation indoors, so where we talk about what we've been doing, and then do like your outdoor walk shop where folks can then interact, and that's an option too. Really, it's whatever works best for you all, what you think folks in town would actually show up for.
So, they don't show up for anything.
It would be us if we push pizza and beer.
No, but,
You have to have it at Gregory's.
There you go, our sponsor. I like the idea of doing a walk shop, because we're outside, that's what we're talking about. We're talking about being outside. But I like the idea of maybe, could we do a Zoom presentation on a Thursday night and tee up the walk shop on Saturday morning?
Okay.
So that people can look at these on the screen, they can see this stuff, and then get the idea of what we're talking about, have a day or two to digest it, and then come out to the location and say, oh yeah, that's what we were talking about, this is what I thought about in the last day or so, and here are my ideas. So it's not just like, I mean, the survey prepped it a little, but at least they'd be thinking more about things.
Right.
I mean, we could have it here, because this is set up so people can, Patrick. So, and he could help us, right, Patrick? Maybe he left.
Nice in there.
But that way, if we publicize it the way we did with the survey, people don't have to leave their homes, and they can participate online, and then they could turn out to the event.
Okay.
That's a good idea.
I think it's a great idea. And then you get sort of both, because with the walk shop, you really do miss that presentation aspect of it, which I think provides at least some background for folks who might not be involved in this process.
I can ask him if, well, I think that's totally
Yeah,
possible.
that sounds like a good idea. That's probably working. Get out.
He's not listening to us.
He's doing something. He's doing
But yeah, does everybody else like that idea?
I think that's a nice meld.
So is Zoom on a Thursday, or? yeah?
Yep, we could probably do a hybrid option. So, you know, I could give the presentation from here, or as long as I can zoom in somehow, I could do that just in case folks don't have access to, you know, reliable internet connection.
Would that Zoom meeting, could we have that on the town website? So if anybody's ambitious enough to want to watch it between, like,
Right.
Friday night, then join Saturday, I don't know, it'll only be a couple days. It's a thought.
Well, yeah, I think the thought is if they can help, then it'll be recorded.
Right.
So folks could watch it at any point.
Right.
Tune it into the town channel or whatever, tell them when it's going to be on exactly.
And then if for some reason they can't do that, we can always, like, I can record the Zoom as I'm giving it and then send it to the town to post. Okay.
Sounds like an okay.
Okay, the wizard behind the door there says he can help us out.
Great. Okay, well, I think that's a great idea, because then you get both aspects of it. You know, especially if it's going to be recorded, then even if folks miss the whole thing, they can watch.
Yeah, YouTube, he'll create a YouTube, and
Awesome.
people can, and we can send it to people, and
Maybe we could make it a Sunday morning after, if it rains on Saturday, then
Yeah,
we'll
we'll
have
have like
something
a
to
rain
fall
date.
on. Where?
Okay. Any dates in particular?
he says this Thursday's out.
That's probably a little bit too close anyway.
Got a wedding, she's got a wedding. Her brother's getting married at Cape this Thursday.
Yeah, so-
Thursday? Okay, I'm not going to ask.
I think,
The weekends are taken for the night.
Oh,
yeah, with COVID, everybody who was gonna get married, you know, it all
We're
got.
divorced already.
Maybe. All got pushed back.
well, we got to think about publicity, too, because
Yeah, it's,
Yeah, so you can get it in the paper.
we need a couple of weeks. The deadlines are screwy. Maybe looking at August? I don't know.
yeah, I think you definitely want 3 weeks at least to be pushing out flyers and news blasts, and then depending on deadlines for newspapers or other newsletters, we'll want to factor that in too. But at least if we're only doing flyers, at least 3 weeks lead time.
More
So yeah, I'd say
flyers.
probably August.
More flyers.
New flyers now, but yeah.
The 4th is a Thursday night, is a Thursday.
In August?
Be the first Thursday in August.
I will be tied up if it's in the evening, I'll be tied up at a Bay State meeting.
How about the 11th?
Open.
Works with me.
Let's try the 11th, August 11th, the second Thursday in August.
And that gives 13, 14 for the weekend, which is good for me because I have no rides.
Time,
No?
time,
Oh, time. For the meeting, it would be 6:30 or 7, I think, is the usual.
And you're probably looking at maybe an hour, hour and a half for the presentations and just, some small discussion. But we'll save bigger discussions for the weekend date.
Do you want to say 7 PM because it's light until 8, 8:30 and people are outside, so it's hard to get me in.
Yeah, one more thing, and then you got to eat. So the outside one would be more 10 or 11 in the morning.
Or even, yeah,
Be closer to
Even 9.
lunch as opposed to.
Yeah, say 10.
Lunchtime.
Because people might straggle in.
where would we have it outside?
Yeah.
Martin Road? Or there's the soccer field in back of the at the VFW?
But there's bleachers at the ball field, but that's outside, it's a ball field.
Or we could do it at the Common.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll get the gazebo there.
Yeah.
Okay.
And plenty of parking around us.
10 AM or 9 AM? What do people think?
I would recommend 10.
Okay.
It's not too late, but
Date
it's
is
not
that now?
too early. August 13th, right? Yeah, August 13th. And then a rain date of August 14th.
10 a.m.
I don't know if that's Turkey's Church there on the 14th.
We could do it later in the day on the 14th. So we could
Right.
schedule Saturday for 10, and then,
The other one,
to
2-ish.
avoid church on
Yeah.
Sunday. When would that end by, like,
Okay.
maybe 1,
And you
2?
gotta have Sunday dinner, we're going back centuries here.
2 would probably be late enough, I guess.
Okay.
I guess we could check, but. So right now, I've got August 11th, which is a Thursday, and we have to get this, reserve this room.
Yeah.
7 PM. And then the outside walk shop would be the 13th at the Common, 10 AM, with a rain date of Sunday, the 14th, at 2 PM.
Yep.
Do we have to reserve the common at all, or?
I,
You could ask.
we can ask. I think sometimes there could be something going on, but I don't even know. I guess Chris would know, right?
Yeah, that's who I would call. She would know who to talk to. I'll call her.
Well, we can just go, you can just go down there
Yeah.
after the meeting.
I'm assuming I got those days.
Okay. Other things we'll want to keep in mind that we don't necessarily need to decide on now, because I think we should have 1 to 2 meetings before, is potential incentives to come to the forum, whether it be offering, coffee and donuts on Saturday morning, or, sort of some other incentive, pizza, snacks, if we do our later meetings. We could do a photo contest. I've seen that done in other towns. So folks will submit photos of different open space resources in town, the different fields, and we can vote on it at the walk shop. And then the winner gets to be the cover of the plan. Some committees like that, some committees don't like that, but that's another option that we can talk about. Well, maybe that one we might want to talk about, at least to get it on the flyer to advertise it.
So,
Thoughts on a photo contest?
A gift certificate to Gregory's.
I'll do the fundraiser for that.
I had one town, they had, their rec department had calendars, and so they did a raffle with the calendars, just to get folks to turn out, in addition to coffee and donuts and some other refreshments.
I mean, you're going to have a photo on the top, in the front of the open space plan, then someone's got to come up with it.
Okay. Photo
Getting one more
contest?
thing done.
Yeah, why not?
I have a bunch of water bottles, I say, I don't know, this is Friends of the Cincinnati or something like that, sitting in the cellar. It would be a good place for me to.
Haul them
Oh,
out.
boy. Yeah.
It's a drill thing.
So water bottles?
Yeah, I've got some, I'll have to check to see how many I've got.
I'll bring fresh water from my house, we can refill them.
Obviously, the first so many people that show up get a water bottle. Swag, give me swag.
I mean, if we have coffee and donuts, then we're going to have a porta potty.
No, it's only an hour. They can go behind the tree.
Behind the statue. All right.
Do you want to do any kind of refreshments, or decide on a later date?
We get $100 every year for open space purposes. Yes.
All right.
No, we should do coffee and donuts for the outside one.
Yeah.
Definitely.
We just had our last ride, we had Athletic Brewing Company donate non-alcoholic beers to the ride.
Nice.
Really?
That's clever.
Which company?
From,
Athletic Brewing Company,
Huh?
they donated
The
36.
non-alcoholics.
Yeah.
Very tasty.
Which
Is it?
was,
Yeah.
it was kind of a good hit with a lot of the people.
Right,
I'm
it's-
not a beer drinker, but they were very happy about it. So there's a thought for the adult crew.
Somebody want to reach out?
for the evening one, yeah, that's a Zoom, the evening's a Zoom, so 10 a.m., it might be early for a beer.
Non-alcoholic.
Yeah. I mean, it's
Could we have the pictures here for the evening for people to vote, and then also outdoors?
Yeah,
Or-
what we could do is, all right, we're gonna do,
They would have-
That would be good because it's
Then maybe if-
interaction.
we'll have folks, they can submit photos until August 5th. And then that way I can have some time to print them and have them here, and then we'll bring them over to the in-person walk shop as well.
Is that enough time?
Print them? I think so.
Okay.
Yeah, because that week before I'll be printing off all the posters and stuff, and then I'll print off some bigger images of the photo entries.
Minimum size,
Uh,
because we can't have like something that's a few KB size, that's not gonna.
I will look
pull
and
off well.
see what's been recommended from other ones. Off the top of my head, I'm not sure
Yeah.
what the size would be.
So that's included in the info about the photo things.
Mhm.
So many
Yeah, certain size.
megapixels or bytes.
So do they include a release?
Yeah, I think it
Okay.
would just be standard, if you're submitting a photo. They'll all be included, but the one will win.
Yep.
Becomes committee property or whatever. Okay.
Any other thoughts or comments on the public forum?
I think we're off to a great start.
So what I'm gonna do is start drafting a flyer with this information.
Here's the cover.
Yeah. Couple of cows.
We won't want to send out the flyers until we have the information on both the Zoom meeting and the in-person one. I assume maybe I can set up the Zoom. I don't know if the town has a Zoom account. that's
Yeah, they do.
We do.
Okay. So as long as I can get, if you can.
We just need to, if, after this meeting, we just need to make sure this room is available,
Okay.
and we should be able to do it.
Okay, yeah, so as long as folks, as you guys can verify that this room is good and that we don't need any sort of reservation for the common, and then the Zoom information, so the link, if there's a call-in, anything like that. Once I have all that information, I can pull it into the flyer, but I'll at least start drafting sort of the outline of it.
So we could have maybe the next meeting I have for 3 weeks is July 19th, so the one before the August, the Zoom on the 11th would be maybe the 9th, August 9th, for another meeting for us.
Okay, so.
Is that 3 weeks from the 19th?
Let's see.
So it's 2 days before the Zoom.
And then August 9th, okay. That'll be a good check-in meeting to make sure we've got everything, that we need.
Okay, so I'll reserve a room for them.
Do you want me to just go do it now,
So July
if she's there?
All right, well, yeah.
Hmm?
Yeah, the common. one.
Yeah, I got it right here. But what day were we going to meet again?
July
The-
19th?
Oh, the 19th?
Well, that's the next one, if that's
Yep.
okay with everybody.
And August 9th, you said?
August 9th, yeah.
Okay.
And then we wanted the common,
But I'll check on the 11th and the 13th,
yeah.
if she's there. All right. That way, we don't have to.
I can follow up on, yeah, change it if need be.
Interesting. July 19th
For the next one, is that okay?
at 1 o'clock.
Tuesday. And then August 9th.
And that one's 1 o'clock as well.
Yep.
Perfect.
This almost would be better to give to the conservation agent to, go through. He knows a little bit more maybe about a flood hazard or areas and,
Yeah, and feel free to share that with anybody, it doesn't need to just be this committee.
okay.
Well, the tree one is, I forgot one.
I think it's Verno now. Used to be Lisa's dad.
Gave you homework.
Yeah, because rather than us trying to, start at the beginning.
The tree ward will probably be able to answer number 3 also.
Yeah.
Then you'd have to go to DCR, their forest management person to handle that swamp.
I run into people in the woods that are, checking out the different invasive stuff, which you had a list of
I
few
had two
invasive.
that jumped right out at me. One is Japanese knotweed on B Street. I think it was B Street.
Bittersweet on Wallem Lake Road.
And Phragmites on Mechanic Street. Big, tall, flowery grasses.
What street was that?
Mechanic Street with Phragmites. They're really nasty. They run with rhizomes.
Yep.
They just, you can rip it up and it'll just continue to grow. Nasty stuff.
That garlic mustard popping up all over the place too.
Oh, yeah?
That garlic mustard.
Mhm.
That's bad. Put it on sandwiches?
Well, actually, you can make a pesto out of it. But it
Sounds-
puts out a chemical that prevents the growth of anything else.
Oh,
So once it starts, it spreads and spreads and spreads. But that's easily pullable, and if you see it, get it out before it flowers.
Yeah, that's what, I've got it on my property, God knows where it came from.
Mhm. Yeah, just
I see
in
it,
the winter.
Birds.
we whack it,
Yeah.
way too down well.
But it does pull very easy. And then you can make pesto out of it. Eat it.
What's
I
up,
should give
Vicky?
it a shot.
I've all sorts, I have carrot top pesto from years ago in my fridge.
Good to go?
So the only thing is the comment, I grabbed this property use form because we're not sure exactly.
We could reserve a pavilion at Wallem Lake.
I don't know. You want to look at it? I just don't, a couple times in years past, I've seen like yard sales held up there for fundraisers and stuff. I just don't want to be in conflict with that, so.
Okay.
So we could fill that out and give them to them and,
Okay.
Yes.
Then see, make sure that there's nothing else happening then. Right.
All right, so once we have that together, and then if we can get the Zoom information, then we'll have the flyers ready to go. Maybe like week, 2 weeks?
week.
I think, yeah, it shouldn't be too hard to set up.
It's,
So we
All
could
the other
probably-
dates are okay?
oh, the 11th is fine.
And the
For this
13th.
is fine, it's just,
Yeah.
I think it's just a reserve that, just making an application for it.
Okay.
I don't know. I think we should just fill it out and give it back to her.
Okay.
Let me just,
So it has to be approved by the police chief, the fire chief, buildings, facility maintenance, library director, senior center director, something. Alcoholic beverages are not allowed on town property. No.
I'm not going.
I just reserved the
Okay, so, good day is it?
August 11th.
By the way, you can definitely see that.
There's a little, yeah.
Send it to, Sue or yourself. I'll send it to Chris and she'll actually put it right on the list
Yeah, but Danny needs it. What's your email address?
It's D. Marini.
Could you just send it to Danny real quick as well?
Hi, I'm Sandy. It's D. Marini, so D-M-A-R-I-N-I @cmrpc.org.
Great.
Yep, perfect.
We'll send it to you for the
Sorry,
police.
say again.
Oh, August 11th at 7 PM.
He's going to put it on the town website? You put it on the town website, did you say?
No, on the calendar,
Okay, perfect. So I will have that flyer ready to go next week. I'm off the rest of this week, but I'll make sure that gets done early next week so we can start pushing that out.
Fill this out and give it to me.
And then in terms of where to do some outreach, same locations that we did for the survey, if folks can just do that again. We'll have the flyer. Are there any other events coming up that we might want to advertise at?
You have any rides? We could advertise at the rides. Becky?
I got one ride in July, one amended.
No,
But if that's easy enough, just instead of doing that, I just,
email it.
Word of mouth.
Yeah.
I send an email blast to the members, so.
Okay. Well, if,
Now, question,
yeah.
open to Douglas residents only, or the public forum could be anybody?
Anyone.
Okay.
And we're not checking IDs at the door, so.
Can we just call it the Open Space Forum,
Yeah.
so we don't get too long? Oops, this is 13. 10.
Any other questions, comments?
There was something, but I couldn't think of it. Too many pieces of paper. That's good for now, I think. I just,
And so you'll put the details in about the photo contest?
Photo, refreshments, and then,
Water
information for
bottle.
Zoom, and then.
Popcorn, peanuts.
candy coated snacks.
Face painting.
Splash pad.
Yeah, I'll bring my nozzle, yeah.
Hook up a hose to a nearby house.
Yeah.
Isn't that like a sprinkler?
I know.
When we were a kid, you hose the sprinkler.
And it would fling around, yeah.
My kid had a Crazy Daisy, it was called, and it had a pipe, and then it had a little daisy at the top, so it was a limp pipe, then you turned it on, and the daisy's like shooting water out of it all over the place.
Good.
Right.
Good job.
Do you want any of these extras, maps and things, or just take them?
I'll take a extra set.
I got one extra set.
So Matt obviously got that land from somewhere.
Yeah.
But, then the one with all the state forests, but then it doesn't come up in another place, so that's a little weird.
Great.
Lisa's finished this.
Thanks, Danny.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Enjoy the wedding.
Yeah.
See ya. Bye.
Thank you. Take care.
The application for board
No, go ahead.
Let's see, we are, Kathy would like to be a new member. Should we vote on it or just accept her, yeah? Yeah, yeah. All in favor of accepting Kathy as a new member?
Aye.
Aye. Yay.
Second on that.
And then, yep, we don't need a second.
All in favor?
Yep. And Gordon, would you like to continue with us? All right, good.
Or for what little I do, but I,
Yeah. No, you're here, and it's important to us, yeah. Yeah, okay, all in favor of Gordon's continuing?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, Gordon's with us. All right, and the ZAP, the Blackstone that Lisa mentioned to me, in August, they're having a cleanup and she talked about trails or whatever. I don't know that the trails really, but maybe we could do something different on,
There's gonna be more trash out there than there used to be. But not rural of that, but there's
Mhm.
some, yeah.
So-
where in particular are they doing it?
I have not talked to, I need to talk to the coordinator, who's a friend of mine, and at the Heritage Corridor. And Bonnie will tell me what's going on, but if we wanted to pick out trails that we thought were needing it, or,
Well, I guess there's something in Douglas already going on. It was just whether we wanted to do something
each town-
additionally.
Yeah, okay.
And the only problem with Zap the Blackstone is that they're doing this at the end of August, which is just, the poison ivy is then like eating small children and, I don't know. So,
What was the date of that anyways?
the
Who's what?
27th?
Oh, wait.
Is it August 27th? Something like that? Wait, say that before, no?
I didn't write that down. Yep, August 27th, yep.
It's a Saturday. So Zap the Blackstone, 50 years ago in August, was this huge giant cleanup that basically people up and down the watershed said, we got to clean this up because it was just tires and junk. Everybody was throwing stuff in the river, never mind the stuff you couldn't really see, like the sewage that we were pumping in and all the chemicals going in and all this stuff. So they got together, and so this is the 50th anniversary, and they're trying to really make a big deal because there are still tires in there, and they're still,
Yeah. Yeah, but would that encompass like, okay, I know going up Glen Street, there's the little brook that crosses and there's trash in it on either sides of the road, so would,
In a way, it's more of a water issue, that, the Blackstone is the river, and maybe all the things that lead into it could be
lead
cleaned.
into it. So would it be
Sure.
not a bad idea to wherever little brooks and streams are in town to?
well, the Mumford is a main tributary,
Yep.
from Potter Road and everything, all the way down, basically from Manchog, all the way down to Lackey Pond. Whatever, that's all,
So I think wherever the road crossings are for those is probably where you're gonna find the most trash that's thrown into them as opposed to like deep into the woods.
right.
Absolutely.
Just thoughts.
Yeah, I'll call Bonnie and see what's going on, and then at the next meeting, I can tell everybody what she thought of our ideas, or if there's already something in place that we can join, or, I mean, I just, as far as trails in the woods, there's always a little bit of trash, but I don't see that much.
Again, it's mostly at the trailheads and road crossings and stuff where.
Right.
Generated more by cars than hikers.
So you rode up past Morris Pond the other day, and it wasn't that bad up by Morris Pond, so.
Yeah. I did that section right across from the church on Southwest Main where the cops pull over on the right. I got 5 bags of trash out of there one day. All right, any new business?
Yes. Okay. For the website here, so I'm kind of figuring today I want to get this dropped dropped off to whoever was supposed to drop off, so. Currently up there is Sue for the chair, Catherine Anderson for the vice chair, so that's out. Who's the vice chair? Lisa?
Lisa, are you vice chair? You are vice chair.
You are now. All right.
And you're the
So
secretary. Ellen's married and gone. yeah.
Ellen's out of there, so then I've got to add Gordon and Kathy to that list. Right, and then
And
also,
Fred is still the alternate, yeah.
now, is he ever supposed to attend meetings because he's an alternate, or?
I don't know.
So, and then also request them on the open space committee to take off the survey thing, because that's closed now, so that might just come off.
Mhm, mhm.
Okay.
Kathy, did you pull any flyers down that you put up at the grain store or the?
I didn't,
Yeah,
but.
next time
no,
you're up there, if you
but-
see any.
Yeah, I didn't see it last time I went
Okay.
up there, but I'll double check.
Yeah,
next time I go
a
up.
lot of people took them down already. I got the one on Depot Street.
Oh, I rode by there, I was gonna, on horseback, I was gonna take it down, I was like.
Oh, I'm sorry, I'll put it back up for you.
I thought someone might have stolen it, but I'm glad you did. Take it down.
There's still one at the Webster Public Library. I'll get there someday.
Yeah, okay. That was all I had to.
Yeah, that would be wonderful to get that updated, and then we can throw things on it. A little ridiculous. All right, any new business from you, Lisa?
Nope.
Okay, Becky's going to do the website. Great.
Yeah,
All right,
should do that on my way out.
yep. Okay, I make a motion to entertain to adjourn.
So moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
We have to get a second.
Seconded?
Second.
Ah,
I just didn't say-
favor?
I didn't say aye. No.
There's 3 steps. Oh, I'll underline that seconded one. Okay, it's 12 minutes of 3, so